In the quiet moments leading up to the transition of seasons in March 2026, there is a profound stirring in the spirit of the faithful that transcends the noise of the world and the ticking of the clock, because time is not merely a sequence of dates, but a canvas for divine purpose. To wonder what will happen to the believers after the 21st of March is to ask how a seed feels when it finally breaks through the dark soil to meet the morning sun. For that date marks a symbolic threshold where the endurance of the winter meets the promise of a spiritual harvest. For many, the road leading to this point has been paved with trial and silent prayers that seem to echo in empty rooms, yet the spiritual reality is that every tear shed in secret has been a form of irrigation for a garden that is about to bloom in ways the human eye cannot yet perceive. We must understand that the identity of the Christian is not defined by the shifting shadows of global events or the anxieties of a changing culture, but by an unshakable foundation that remains constant regardless of what the calendar declares. As we approach this horizon, the call is not one of fear, but of deep preparation, where the heart is refined like gold in a furnace, so that it might reflect the light of the Creator with greater clarity and intensity. There is a sense that the veil between the mundane and the miraculous is thinning, and those who have kept their lamps trimmed and burning will find themselves stepping into a season of unprecedented clarity, where the whispers of the Spirit become clear directions for the path ahead. It is a time to put away the distractions of the temporary and to anchor the soul in the eternal truths that have sustained the faithful through every generation, because the same power that rolled away the stone on that first Easter morning is the power that carries the believer into the future. You are not walking into an unknown void, but into a preordained appointment with grace, where the challenges of the past serve as the platform for the victories of tomorrow. The world may speak of uncertainty and the shaking of foundations, but for the one whose life is hidden in Christ, the shaking is merely the removal of what is temporary, so that what is unshakable may remain and shine. This is a journey of becoming more than you were yesterday, a process of shedding the old skin of doubt and putting on the armor of light, so that when the sun rises on the 22nd of March, you are standing firm, not in your own strength, but in the limitless power of divine love. As the days unfold after that spring equinox, the believer will find that the landscape of the soul has shifted from a place of waiting to a place of walking in the fullness of their calling, because the wait was never meant to be empty, but was a period of internal strengthening. Think of the eagle that waits for the thermal currents to rise before it spreads its wings to soar without effort. And in the same way, the period following March 2026 will be a time of catching the wind of the Spirit to reach heights that were previously unreachable. There will be a renewed focus on community and the gathering of the lights, where the individual embers of faith come together to create a fire that cannot be extinguished by the winds of change. This is the part of the story where the character is tested not to see if they will break, but to show the world what they are made of, and to demonstrate that hope is not a fragile emotion, but a resilient anchor. The motivation for this new era is found in the realization that every person has a specific role to play in the unfolding tapestry of history, and that your presence in this specific moment of time is not an accident, but a divine assignment. You are being called to be a vessel of peace in a world of chaos, a voice of truth in a world of confusion, and a hand of mercy in a world of judgment. The transformation that occurs after this date will be marked by a shift in perspective, where problems are seen as opportunities for miracles, and where the scarcity of the world is replaced by the abundance of the kingdom. We are moving into a space where the superficial will no longer satisfy, and the soul will crave the deep waters of spiritual intimacy and the authentic expression of faith through works of love and justice. This is not a time to shrink back or to hide your light under a bushel, but to stand on the hilltop and declare that the light has come and the glory of the divine is rising upon you. The final movement of this spiritual journey is one of total surrender and the realization that the destination is not a place on a map, but a state of being in perfect alignment with the divine will. Beyond March 2026, the Christian will experience a deepening of the peace that passes all understanding, which is a peace that does not depend on favorable circumstances, but on the presence of the one who promised to never leave nor forsake us. This is the ultimate motivation, to know that the Creator of the stars knows your name and has written your future with the ink of eternity, so that no power on earth can erase the destiny that has been set for you. The days ahead are filled with the potential for a global awakening, where the simple acts of kindness and the steadfastness of the faithful serve as a beacon to those who are lost in fear. Dark. It is a time of reclaiming the joy that the world tried to steal, and rediscovering the wonder of a life lived in total reliance on grace As you move forward, let your heart be filled with a courage that is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it through faith. The legacy of this period will be written in the lives of those you touch, and the seeds of hope you plant in the hearts of others. We are part of a story that ends in victory, and the middle chapters are where we learn to trust the author even when the plot thickens. So as you look toward the future, do not look with eyes of apprehension, but with eyes of expectation, knowing that the best is yet to come, and that the light is getting brighter with every step you take toward the dawn of this new season. In the realm of the spiritual harvest, there is a fundamental law that governs the universe, which states that nothing is ever truly lost when it is placed in the hands of the divine. And this is the core of the hope that carries the believer beyond any specific date on the calendar. To understand the harvest, one must first respect the season of the hidden seed, where the work is done in the dark and the cold, and where it often feels as though nothing is happening despite the intensity of the labor and the depth of the sacrifice. After March 2026, those who have cultivated their inner lives with patience and integrity will begin to see the first green shoots of a reality that has been growing beneath the surface for years, because the harvest is the physical manifestation of spiritual consistency. This is not merely about material gain, but about the fruit of the Spirit becoming so evident in a person's life that they become a source of nourishment for everyone they encounter. The divine assignment mentioned earlier is the specific mission tailored to your unique talents and experiences, and it is being activated in this new era to meet the specific needs of a world that is hungry for authenticity. You may find that your assignment is to be a bridge builder in a divided society, or a healer in a place of trauma, or a teacher of ancient wisdom in a modern age, but regardless of the form it takes, the power behind it comes from a source that is inexhaustible. As the spiritual harvest unfolds, you will realize that the trials you faced were actually the preparation for the weight of the glory that you are now called to carry. This assignment is not a burden, but a privilege, because it aligns your daily actions with the eternal purposes of the Creator and gives every moment a sense of profound meaning and direction. You are being moved into a position of influence not for your own sake, but so that the light you carry can illuminate the paths of those who are still wandering in the shadows of doubt and fear. The harvest is plentiful, and the calling is clear, and the strength to fulfill it is being poured out even now as you prepare to step into the fullness of what has been prepared for you since the beginning of time. In the depths of the personal challenges you face, there is a hidden laboratory where the soul is being forged for a specific purpose that only you can fulfill. And it is within these moments of struggle that the true strength of your faith is tested and proven. When you feel the weight of a particular spiritual burden or the pressure of a life circumstance that seems insurmountable, it is vital to remember that the pressure is not there to crush you, but to transform the raw carbon of your experiences into a diamond that can cut through the hardest obstacles. After March 2026, the challenges that once seemed like giants in your path will be seen as the very stepping stones that allowed you to reach a higher vantage point, because your perspective is being elevated from the horizontal view of the world to the vertical view of the divine. This specific challenge you are navigating right now is the classroom where you are learning the language of empathy and the power of resilience, which are the primary tools you will need for your coming assignment. There is a deep comfort in knowing that you do not have to generate the strength to overcome these hurdles on your own, but rather you are called to tap into the reservoir of grace that has already been provided for you. As you move forward through the remaining months of this year and into the dawn of the next season, let your heart be settled in the truth that every difficulty is a setup for a divine demonstration of power, and every setback is a setup for a greater comeback. The narrative of your life is not being written by your failures or your fears, but by the unwavering hand of a Creator who sees the end from the beginning and has already declared you a victor. You are being prepared to stand in places you never dreamed of and to speak words that will heal the brokenhearted, because you yourself have walked through the fire and come out refined and unburned. This is the heart of the motivational journey, to recognize that the very thing that tried to break you is the thing that will eventually define your greatest contribution to the world around you. In the architecture of the soul, there is no pillar more vital than that of unwavering courage, because it is the engine that drives every other virtue into action, especially as we approach the thresholds of 2026. Courage is not the absence of the storm, nor is it the silencing of the heartbeat in the face of the unknown, but it is the quiet and resolute decision to take the next step, because you are anchored in a truth that is louder than your fear. As you look toward the horizon, following the 21st of March, RCH, You are being called to move beyond the safe shores of the familiar and to launch out into the deep waters where the waves are higher, but the presence of the divine is more tangible. This brand of courage is a spiritual inheritance that allows you to stand upright when the world is trembling and to speak words of hope when the air is thick with despair, because you know that your life is held in a grip that cannot be loosened. It is the courage to forgive when the wound is still fresh, to give when your own storehouse seems low, and to believe in the promise when the evidence has not yet appeared. This virtue is being forged in you right now through the very challenges you just acknowledged, as if the heat of your current trials is exactly what is required to temper the steel of your spirit. You will find that this courage becomes a contagious force, and as you walk with a steady heart and a clear gaze, those around you who are drowning in anxiety will find the strength to stand because of the light they see in you. Alongside this courage is the sacred rhythm of patience, which is the ability to maintain a holy expectation while the timing of the universe unfolds at its own pace. Patience is not a passive waiting, but an active state of preparation where you are refining your character so that when the door finally swings open, you are ready to walk through it with grace. Together, these two virtues will be your compass in the months and years ahead, ensuring that you do not run ahead in your own strength nor fall behind in your own doubt. You are being built into a fortress of peace and a beacon of resilience, so that no matter what the global or personal landscape looks like, you remain a steady and unshakable witness to the power of a life lived in total alignment with the eternal. In the quiet sanctity of this moment, we turn our hearts toward the infinite source of all life. HD and life, acknowledging that our breath is a gift and our journey is guided by a wisdom that far exceeds our own understanding. We recognize that as the calendar turns toward the 21st of March 2026, we are not merely passing through time, but are participating in a divine unfolding that has been orchestrated for our growth and for the healing of the world. We ask for the grace to embrace the courage we have discussed and the patience to trust the timing of the harvest, knowing that every seed of faith we have planted in the soil of our lives will surely come to fruition. May the challenges we currently face be revealed not as walls, but as doorways leading us into a deeper intimacy with the Spirit and a more profound realization of our own strength. We release the grip of anxiety and the need to control the future, choosing instead to rest in the assurance that we are held and sustained by a love that knows no end and a power that never fails. Let our eyes be opened to see the opportunities for service and the moments of wonder that are hidden in the ordinary days, so that we may live with a sense of purpose that illuminates the darkness for others. We pray for a steadfast spirit that remains unmoved by the shifting tides of the world and a heart that beats in perfect harmony with the pulse of eternity. As we step forward into this new season, may we walk with the confidence of those who know their destination and the humility of those who know they do not walk alone. May the peace that passes all understanding guard our minds, and may the joy of the divine be our constant strength today, tomorrow, and forevermore.